You're listening to Big World Network.
Phineas Frakture and the Steamotep, Episode 2. Written by Joseph Gatch. Read by Michael Young. Rising above the Exposition Center in Flushing, New York, were several airship towers which in turn held a multitude of zeppelins, each of their own unique design. Small craft fluttered about, from one-man gyrocopters to hover barges ferrying spectators around the expo. Throngs of people streamed in from all over the city and beyond. The cabbies were smiling broadly as overcharged fares were collected from people desperate to arrive at the center before the rest of the masses, evading long lines at the ticket booths. Those who arrived late and those who were still waiting in line icily glared at those who strolled past them already holding tickets and not having to endure the heat of the morning or the agitation of those around them. Several automatons greeted the visitors as they entered the main gate, taking tickets and ushering them through the entrances. Some of the visitors were turned away as new models, equipped with the latest anti-counterfeit punch cards, weeded out ticket forgeries. Phineas eyed one of the automatons, checking his gears until he realized that he was holding up the line. "Nothing interesting, eh?" asked William. "I've made one before. Nothing new to me." "Yes, but this one hasn't launched its gears through a window yet." The duo pushed through the already growing mob of people. Everyone seemed to have their heads either pointed up at the marvels above or pointed down towards their maps of the park, planning their strategy for the day. Phineas felt a bump from behind and quickly lashed out, snagging a small boy by the collar. "Sorry, sir. I wasn't watching where I was going," the boy said eagerly. "That's all right, son, but I would like my wallet back, if you please." "What? I ain't got your wallet. Let me go." Phineas pulled out a small metal rod from his coat pocket and touched the boy with it. He yelped as a small electrical arc zapped him in the rear. "Fine," the boy said testily. "Here you go." He handed Phineas his wallet back and ran off quickly as soon as he was released. "Was that really necessary?" asked William as Phineas replaced both the rod and his wallet. "It was if you wanted me to pay for lunch. Blasted orphans. We need some workhouses to keep them in check." "You are a pillar of humanity. I hope that you don't use that thing on your students. The headmaster will surely be getting calls about you." "Well, just look around. A few years ago, this exposition would have had half the visitors it has now. The population is out of control. Soon the city will be spread so far that the food supply will have to come from Pennsylvania or farther. We will have to build upwards instead of outwards, and then aerial navigation will be impossible. We need to find something for all the people to do instead of stealing from those who have a position in society. I tell you, William, we will outnumber the rats soon, and we, in turn, will become the blight of the world." "Oh, look, there's Abigail," William said, happy to change the subject. Ahead, sitting on a bench under a tree, was a vision in white. The two almost didn't recognize her, for she looked so out of her element wearing a pure white cotton dress, with her hair draping down over her shoulders, and not a stain of grease on her. She stood as she saw them approach, and patted some dust off Phineas's shoulder. "Did something explode again?" she asked. "Mildly." "The house is still standing," added William. "Always a good sign." "Well, I am glad that you two made it in time. The unveiling is about to begin," said Abigail. "I can't wait to see this." "Unveiling?" asked Phineas as they walked into an audience hall. "Of the mummy, of course. Kavanagh claims that this is a discovery of epic proportions." Phineas stopped and put his arm out in front of Abigail. "Wait, Kavanagh? Edward Kavanagh, the explorer?" "Yes, he's the one who invited us and sent you the tickets," she replied. "Sent me?" Phineas looked at William. "Mrs. Baptist intercepted them and gave them to me. She knew that you would just throw them away, and that Abigail would love to go to this, but so we lied." Phineas scowled. "Edward Kavanagh has been a pain in my backside since grade school, and a real jackknape to boot. He still owes me money. I hate him with a passion." "You hate everyone with a passion," William said, guiding Phineas through the door. "Just smile and be cordial, for Abigail's sake, and be pleasant." Phineas gritted his teeth. "All right, stop smiling. Your jaw is going to lock." The three of them took their seats in the front row, and shortly thereafter the curtain rose. "I wish that I'd brought a tomato," hissed Phineas. "I'll be right back." William put his hand on Phineas's shoulder and shoved him back in his seat. A tall, ruggedly handsome man with slicked-back blonde hair, blue eyes, and a chiseled jaw stepped out onto the stage, wearing an explorer's outfit. "He looks ridiculous," whispered Phineas. "He looks amazing," swooned Abigail. Phineas shot her a glance, and then returned his attention to the stage. The lights were dimmed, and images depicting an archaeological dig began to flash on a screen at the back of the stage, most of them with Kavanaugh in some sort of fake pose.
"Ladies and gentlemen," Kavanaugh began, "you have all heard of the legends of the great Egyptian pharaohs, their vast treasures and magnificent pyramids. What you do not hear about are the people who are behind the scenes."
"He has found Pharaoh's nanny," snickered Phineas.
"It was surmised that the pyramids were built by using pulleys and ropes and ramps, very primitive means. However, during a recent dig in the Valley of Kings, I, Edward Kavanaugh, have discovered a man who defies all preceding notions of what the Egyptians were capable of."
He waved to someone off stage, and 4 men wheeled out a sarcophagus adorned not with gold, but with copper and brass. Phineas leaned forward, his interest piqued, as he noticed some of the symbolism on the cover. The stagehands propped the sarcophagus on end and stepped off to the side.
"As you can see, the figure adorned on the lid is not holding the standard crook and flail that other mummies have been found with, representing the god Osiris, but a hammer and what appears to be an ancient wrench. This in itself was the first indication that our find was more than your average run-of-the-mill mummy, and that other explorers have found. Although finding gold and treasure would be fine for some greedy grave robbers, I believe that our find surpassed those tenfold. Runes deciphered at the dig site showed this man to be of remarkable means and talent, inasmuch that his importance had actually surpassed the Pharaoh himself. Now, what mummy would be complete without a curse?" Kavanaugh looked around, building suspense while running his hand down the hieroglyphs inscribed on the lid. For effect, a stagehand made the lights flicker, and Kavanaugh gasped dramatically. "The inscription reads, 'Rest in eternal slumber, for the key to eternal life shall bring despair in disturbing him.' It was apparent from the moment we unearthed this treasure of treasures that we are going to be facing difficulty at every turn. First, tunnels collapsed as we tried to remove the sarcophagus, trapping myself and several of my assistants inside the tomb. It was only through my valiant and heroic efforts that I led my team to safety. Then storms, power failures, and even unexplained deaths of members of my team plagued our endeavor. Even my faithful companion, Mitzi, was not immune to the curse. My poor baby was struck down for a week with a case of dysentery." A photo of a small, white, fluffy dog appeared on the screen, invoking a round of ahs from the audience, while Kavanaugh held his hand over his heart and tried to look sad. He indicated to the men to stand ready at the sides of the sarcophagus, and with a flourish of his hand, they took hold of the lid and pulled it from the base. "Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Steamhotep, machinist of the pharaohs."
You're listening to Big World Network.